It would help if my mic wasn't muted, wouldn't it? Should we start that again? Thank you very much to Miles for letting me know that there's no sound. Good morning. How are you doing? Excellent. Me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to another episode of Dazed, Confused, and Generally Buggered, which is how we're all currently feeling, and also what's written on my mug quite handily. So obviously in the UK and across most of the world, we're still in this lockdown situation. We don't know really what's going to happen, when it's all going to end. But what we do know is that if you've got a brand or a business, you still need to put the work into it to keep making sure that you get out the other side of all of this. And we will get to the other side of all of this eventually with still having a brand and a business intact, but even possibly having a brand and a business with more people knowing about what it is that you do and wanting to buy the services as well. So that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I think. That would be nice to get out the other side of all of this and have some money still coming into the bank. Exactly. So what I'm trying to do is help you with your social media and with your marketing. I'm Simon Scholes and I run Perception Studios, this business right here, and we're an award-winning visual marketing agency. We help brands and businesses across the UK and we help them create content that really helps them stand out on social media, be it all sorts of different types of things, documentary style videos, animations, aerial work, cinemagraphs, 3D GIFs, all kinds of stuff that they generally use on their social media. I also right now help brands and businesses, possibly like yourself, who don't have the money or not really got the marketing budget at the moment to outlay to an agency to do that kind of thing. So what you do instead is that you can do stuff yourself. But I want to help you make sure that the stuff that you're creating yourself is the best it possibly can be. Also, that you're making the most of what you've actually got. So if you've got content, you're actually making it work harder for you than just writing a blog, leaving it on your website and expecting customers to come and find you that way. Instead, you need to make your content work harder and actually create more content out of it. So that's generally what we're here for. We're here to just help you create content for free. My favorite 4-letter word. If you are just joining us or if you've been here for the last 3 or 4 minutes, thank you very much. We are currently live on Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, How to 9 Times Your Social Media page, and also the Perception Studios page as well on Facebook. So if you want to leave any comments whatsoever, if you want to just say hello, how are you, let me know where you are, that's absolutely fine. Or if you want to, you can ask any questions whatsoever on social media and on video, and I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I possibly can do. Also, along with that, today we're going to talk about the rule of a third, but 2 different versions of the rule of a third. So my version of the rule of a third on social media, and then the rule of a third in photography and video, which is quite an important one. Not necessarily so much so when you're doing a live video, although it's still nice to obey it. But when you're shooting videos yourself using your phone, it's always nice to try and obey that rule of a third. And I'm going to discuss that with you as well. Like I say, if you've got any questions, get in touch. Before anything whatsoever, I want to invite you right now to come and join my group, How to 9x Your Social Media, How to 9 Times Your Social Media. It's on Facebook right now. I will get the Facebook link for you and put it into the comments so that you can go and find it nice and easily. And that way, then you can click on there, you can join the group. And not only can you join the group, but you can also get this. You can download a copy of my book for free. My How to 9 Times Your Social Media book, absolutely free, won't cost you a penny. Just fill in some details, say yes or no to signing into my newsletter. If you don't want it, fine, it doesn't bother me. I just want to get you on that content creation journey. And if you do want it, brilliant, that's awesome. Sign up to the newsletter and also get the free book as well, which will take you through the whole process I take my clients and customers through when I'm trying to help them understand what they can do themselves, completely free, to help boost their social media presence and their brand online a little bit. Okay, so that link's in there. You can come and join the group whenever you want. Also, one last little bit of housekeeping. I am also currently offering open a slot for you to sponsor how to nine times your social media, how to sponsor Dazed, Confused, and Generally Buggered. The little logo that you just saw pop up there, powered by StreamYard, that could be your logo. We have a sponsor for the next 7 days from tomorrow, and then we have a sponsor of the week of May the 18th, but lots of other dates still available for you. So if you want to sponsor Dazed, Confused, and Generally Buggered, and all the content that comes out of it as well, because obviously I take the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live and whatever live it is that you're watching, and I edit it and I turn it into smaller pieces of content which go onto all my social media channels. So your name will be out there across all of those channels just by having a chat with me and sponsoring Dazed, Confused, and Generally Buggered. Anyway, shall we get to today's content? Because I hate selling. That's not my thing. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you start creating content that you can do yourself. The rule of a third. We'll start on the rule of a third photography and on video, first of all. So rule of a third is effectively you split the screen and you turn it into 6. And I'm just going to send some photos to my computer so I can show you this. Because the reason I decided to talk about this morning is I took some photos while we were out on our walk today. And one of them, I purposely took it so it didn't obey the rule of a third, and one I took it so it did obey the rule of a third. And I thought it was quite nice to show you the difference of the content that you can create by obeying the rule of a third. So basically, the rule of a third is where, just let me close everything down now. The rule of a third is where you split your phone or split your camera lens into 9. So you have 3, and then 3 down the middle, and then 3 down the side. So you have 3 blocks. They're not squares, but they are just 3, 3, and 3. And what you're trying to do is obey the rule of a third, so by having the highlight of the image within one of those thirds. So it could be a diagonal third, it could be a horizontal third, whatever. It could be that diagonal. It doesn't matter which way the third is going, but what you're trying to do is have like 4 intersection points. So they're like that or like that, and you have the cross that goes across. So like pretend that's sort of like a cross right there. So the 4 intersection points and the lines, and the 4 lines themselves are where you want the subjects and like the strong composition lines to actually be. So you want to place the people within like those lines so that they're in a block of 4, not the whole thing. So you don't want me filling up the whole screen like so, because that looks wrong. But if you have me about there, and that's a slightly better composition of a shot. You can't see quite so much of above, but you can see that there's a little bit of space above my head, and we could maybe just change that ever so slightly. And then the rest of me takes over 2/3, so that we are obeying what's called the rule of a third. So you split the whole screen into rectangles, and there's 3, there's 3, and there's 3. And all you're trying to do is just make sure that the composition doesn't take up too much of that. Now, it's also nice if you have the composition slightly off or whatever, but you don't want to necessarily bleed across those lines. So you don't want to bleed across them horizontally and so on and so forth. So, for example, and this is what I wanted to show you. So I'm just going to show you some of these photos that I took this morning and give you a good idea as well of what I mean by splitting the screen into 4. So first things first, let's split the screen into 4. So come back here. I want to show you what I mean by splitting the screen up. So here's the image. Here's an image of what I mean by splitting the screen up. So can you see? We've split the screen up. It is very simple to see. Obviously, as you can see, we have the lines going across, and the dog is taking over a nice little area. And me personally, I would have probably even had the dog further across, but you're just trying to obey that rule of a third. You're trying to obey the point that the composition is within 4 intersection points. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have it where it's in 2 intersection points. So like I said, I would maybe have moved the dog even further over, so it only covered these 2 as well. But you're just trying to make the image look the best it possibly can do. If the dog was the whole image and you could still see some of the stuff behind, it just wouldn't work, wouldn't it? Would it? So you've got this perfect image here where the dog's taking over 4 points and so on and so forth. So when you're taking videos, this is a great way of you being able to compose your video shot. So you wouldn't just have your product smack in the middle. You would have your product taking over a third of the screen if there is a background image. If all you're going to do is have a white background, 100% just take the photo, stick it in the middle, fine and dandy. But if you're going to have a background, if you're going to have something going on in the background to make it slightly more interesting, if you're going to do what I spoke about when it came to Pinterest the other day and also Instagram, and make your image more of a lifestyle image, somebody using the product that you sell in their home or when they're out and about, then you want to make the composition correct. And that's where the rule of a third comes in, so that you can make that content a little bit more interesting on the eye, draw the viewer in. So I want to give you an example of what I mean by the screen not necessarily being right. So let me just come back here. So these are both nice images, don't get me wrong. I like them, obviously, because of me and the family. So the first one is this one here. So we're in the middle. It's still a nice image. If you split it up into the fours, there's one, there's another line, and then we're still kind of taking it over, but we're probably bleeding across a few of the squares. It doesn't look perfect. It's not the ideal image. But then you could instead, let me just go to a different one, a different image. Then we could have this image, which I took, which I feel obeys more of the rule of a third, a little bit like the image of the dog just a moment ago. This is the second one that I took. So we're more in the corner, we're obeying that rule of a third, we're taking over some of the image, and you can just see more of the background. It gives it more of an interest point. I've also blurred out the foreground so that we're in focus and not the foreground, and the background's perfectly in focus because there's a lot going on in the background. If those horses weren't there, you could essentially actually just maybe even make the depth of field less so, which is your F rating. So you drop it down so lots of light can come in, but then you'd speed up the shutter speed so that the background's actually quite blurry, and that would look really cool as well. It's called portrait mode. If you're taking a photograph on your iPhone, they do that kind of automatically. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It looks better if you do it on your camera, but it gives you a rough idea of what I'm trying to talk about. But you can see the difference between the two different images, 100%, I think. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for joining us. If you've just joined us, I'm not entirely sure who everybody is. Some of the comments coming in are in a slightly different language. So I'm just going to see if I can get Facebook to help me actually translate them. So here we go. So so do you understand the rule of a third a little bit better? You're splitting the screen up. You're just trying to make the image a little bit more interesting. If it is purely a blank background, don't worry. Don't care about it. Just take the photograph and stick the image in the middle. Or if it's a product being shown on a white background, stick it in the middle, go all around it, that kind of thing. That will make it interesting still for the viewer. But if there is some form of background going on, if there is something in the background, make sure that you're actually making it interesting. Okay, I don't know the name of the person, unfortunately, because it is in Thai, and I don't speak Thai. But they're saying they're very tired, and they lost their job due to COVID. But hopefully, that's not going to be an ongoing issue. Fingers crossed for you. That will sort itself all out. Anyway, right, shall we stop sharing that photograph? But you can see what I mean. So hopefully you've got some value from that, what the rule of a third is. There's a lot more to it. I'm just trying to simplify it very, very quickly because we're only here for half an hour or so and I don't want to bore the crap out of you. But if you want to know more, feel free to drop me a line. You can drop me an email if you like on my usual email address, which is scrolling on the bottom there, simons@perceptionstudios.co.uk. If you're listening to the podcast, which I make from this content, then the email address is in the description below. Go and check that out and drop me a line and we can chat more about the rule of a third. The second rule of a third I want to talk to you about is the rule of a third on social media. And this is one that I think is probably even more important than the rule of a third on visuals, because a visual doesn't have to be perfect for it to still give value to somebody. It doesn't have to be perfect for somebody to still understand what it is you're trying to show. So as much as the rule of a third will help you improve your content, help you improve your videos, it's not the most essential part to creating visual content. Just getting the visual content out there in the first place is probably the most important part. However, the rule of a third on social media, for me, is really essential. It's something I obey every single day. I sit and do what I'm about to talk to you about every single day across all the social media channels that I possibly can do before my energy completely runs out, depending on the day. Most days, obviously, I'm looking after Max, so I'm exhausted. But like on a weekend, Susanna's got him right now, so I'm able to do this. And yeah, it gives me a bit more energy. But anyway, so the rule of a third on social media. So I split social media into 3 aspects. Now, there's lots of different trees that come off these, lots of different branches. So don't literally just tie it down to these 3 things, but split social media into 3 things. The first thing is when you're on social media, you talk about yourself, what it is that you do, you're giving value, and you're not selling. Selling is a different concept on social media. That's probably where social media advertising comes in and that kind of thing. Or when you get to the point where you've given so much value, you can drop in and ask now and again. But mainly, you're looking to give value. You're talking about yourself, what it is you do as a business, as a brand, and all that kind of stuff. Then there's point number 2, which is talking about other people within your industry. So there are other people who do what you do. That's how competition is. So therefore, that competition, talk about them. Not in a derogatory way. Don't say, oh my God, Bob's bricks are crap and Steve's bricks are great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying they've put out a great piece of content. You agree completely with it. Why would you not share that with your audience? Don't plagiarize it as your own. Just show that you're not bothered about competition. And we live in a very collaborative world anyway. So maybe there's a collaboration somewhere down the road for you too. So why would you not just share that piece of content? Say, I was reading this excellent piece about XYZ the other day, thought you might like it, and then link back to that person's content, and then make sure they know you've linked back to their content, but in a nice way. Not necessarily tell them in a nice way, but the fact that you've linked back to it in a nice way, that you've put them on your website, a backlink for them through another website, that you've thought that their content's good, that you've mentioned it on social media, that you've mentioned it on Twitter, that you've spoken to your Facebook group all about it, that you mentioned it in a YouTube video that you did recently. That kind of thing is really powerful. And it just helps them out. And also they might then start consuming your content and saying, oh, some of this stuff's good as well. I'll backlink them through our website. And then you start to build more of an audience through people who are working in the same industry, but maybe not in competition because they're not local. Or even if they are in competition, there's just that level of respect between the two of you. There's that potential of collaboration, like I say. And it's just there. And it's just that next point on social media. So number 1, write about yourself, give loads of value. Number 2, write about the competition and give their value, but make sure that it's them giving the value. So if they've given the value already, make sure people know that they've given the value already. Don't just plagiarize their content because you're a bit jealous of the fact that they wrote that piece of content. If you were going to write about it anyway, fine, do that. But if you weren't, don't get all jealous and up on your high horse just because they have done and you haven't. Just share their content out there. Trust me. It really does make a big difference to them, and it will make a big difference to your content as well. The third thing on social media, and the one that everybody forgets, be social. Start talking to people. The clue is in the title, social media. It's not selling media, it's social media. It's a place for you to go and be social. These websites were initially created for people to connect with old friends, to connect with old connections. That's why MySpace and Friends Reunited did so well, but they just had aspects that they were missing and didn't do as well as platforms like Facebook. If MySpace and Friends Reunited had kind of amalgamated, they'd have probably kicked Facebook's ass, but they didn't. So Facebook came along and did exactly what everybody wanted. It wasn't messy like MySpace because you could tart up your MySpace page. It wasn't purely for people that you went to school with or old friends on Friends like it was on Friends Reunited. So you could open your network and actually meet new people on Facebook. So that's why Facebook worked so well. Initially, it was obviously an educational thing. It was for universities and for them to actually connect and talk. And it was kind of a dating website, but we won't go there. But anyway, that's what it was for initially. Now it's something completely different. It's a different beast altogether. But MySpace and Friends Reunited, if they kind of amalgamated, they would have probably done quite well, but they never did. So Facebook is the one. But you could be social across all of these sites: Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all of these different places. They're all out there for you to be social on, but to also meet new people. So when people are posting content and you may never have met them before, still, if you agree with what they've got to say, leave them a comment. You've taken time to consume what it is they've got to say. Why would you not take time to just say, you know what? I agree. Or, you know what? Actually, I've got a different viewpoint, and start a level of conversation with them, perhaps. They could be experts in your field, or it could be them talking about something that you know a lot about and you just want to dive in there. I'm not saying go in there and start trolling people. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is open a line of conversation between you and other people on different social media channels, and not necessarily on personal profiles as well. Do it on like business profiles or on forums or on pages, on groups, that kind of thing. If it's somebody posting something personally on their Facebook page and you know them, then fine, dive in there and blah, blah, blah. But if it's somebody else's content popping up on your Facebook page because somebody else you know knows them, and you've got a different point of view, don't be an arse about it. Don't start diving in there and causing an argument. Just kind of go past it and move on to the next thing. But on LinkedIn, you can do it on personal profiles, that kind of stuff. But I'm just trying to say, start a conversation, start being social, stop being the corner dweller. It's fine now and again to just sit in the corner, take in everything, just take a deep breath and understand what's being said. And there are other times where it's great to dive in and have a conversation and chat and create a new relationship or build on an already existing relationship. Just like reaching out and saying hello is a huge thing for a lot of people, especially now while we're in this lockdown situation. You reach out to somebody on a social media channel and just say, hi, how you doing? Is everything okay? Not even mentioning anything about business, you end up having a conversation with people. I've done it myself. I've reached out to quite a few people on my How to 9 Times Your Social Media group and just seen how they are, seen how they're coping, because it's not the easiest situation we're all in at the moment, let's be honest. And just somebody reaching out and saying, hello, is everything going okay? It might lead to somebody chatting about their business, or it might just lead to you just having a chat about daily life and what's going on. It doesn't really matter. Yesterday, I was doing the online agricultural show. Really great event. It was a fantastic day. Really enjoyed it. Raised loads of money for charity. And everybody who came past my stand, I just said hello, good afternoon. And if they stopped to have a chat, brilliant. And some people, we had a chat about all sorts of different stuff. And then one or two were chats about potentially doing business. But that's not what I was chatting to them about. I just had started a general conversation, how you're dealing with things, you're struggling, that kind of stuff, telling them about the fact that I'm looking after Max on the daytime. Just having an emotional connection with somebody, proving the fact that you're a human being is a really great thing. And that's why also responding to people's comments is so important. That element of being social on social media, it's just invaluable for your brand and for your business. So that's my 2 rules of a third I want you to consider today. The first rule of a third, break down your images so that you can see that breakdown of the box. I'll show you it one more time so you know exactly what I'm talking if you've just joined us. Break down your screen into basically 9 blocks and try and obey the rule of a third when it came to taking photos or doing videos of your content. If there's a background involved, just makes it a little bit more interesting. And then my rule of a third when it comes to social media: number 1, talk about yourself. Number 2, talk about the competition. Number 3, just talk. Go out there and have a conversation. Search for people looking for what it is that you do and give them some value. Search to your friends and chat to them. Go and talk to people within your business group. Go and talk to people within your Facebook group. Go and talk to people on your Facebook page. All those kind of things are invaluable to those people who might right now be sat at home on their own and just want a bit of a conversation. Okay, right. That's that bit done. How about some questions then? If you've got any questions today whatsoever, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer as many of them as I possibly can do if there are any questions. If there's not, we'll call it a day, about half an hour, and that will be fine and dandy for me as well. As always, though, if you are a little bit shy, you don't want to put your hand up in the classroom right now, that's fine as well. My email address is scrolling along the bottom of the screen right now, or if you're listening on replay on the podcast, my email address is in the description. Drop me an email with your question on. We'll either do our best to answer it today if it comes through right now, or if you prefer, you can drop me an email. We can chat back and forth on email. I can answer your question that way. We could have a Skype call and I could answer your question that way. Or we can take all your details out and answer your question tomorrow on the live broadcast, which will be here again at around about 11-ish, as always. Okay. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to disappear then, I think, because it is Sunday. It would be nice to go and spend some time with the wife and Max. So I will say goodbye. Don't forget, if you haven't joined us yet in the group, come and join the How to 9X Your Social Media group. It's a really cool group. You can get my book completely for free. It's the first link on the page. And also there's loads of content goes in there, the breakdowns of these videos so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. You could watch maybe 5-minute segment that will give you enough information about what I'm talking about. All that kind of stuff. And we do try and have conversations in there, get people involved, get people active, and just get people sharing with each other. Because let's face it, we've all got value to give. And who knows who could be in that group, who could be giving value right now that you might want to get value from. So come and join us within the How to 9X Your Social Media group. Anyway, right, I'm going. I'm off to finish my coffee. I'm off to play trains, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, though, stay safe. Enjoy your exercise today. But yeah, just stay safe. Don't necessarily get too excited about all this idea that the lockdown breakdown is going to come next week in the UK, because even when it does come, it doesn't mean lockdown's over. It just means they've got an idea of exactly how they're going to approach it when we come to leaving it. Okay, stay safe, like I say, and have a good one. See you tomorrow. Bye.